Hey, welcome back everybody to the North Central Washington MVP series brought to you by Career Connect Washington and the Apple STEM Network. I'm Carrie Horning, your host, Career Connected Learning Specialist with the NCESD 171. And every week I like to remind you that our goal is very simple. It's to introduce our community partners throughout North Central Washington to one another, as well as to the amazing events and programs that are taking place here. And a win looks like each of you leaving with a greater understanding of the work being done all around North Central Washington. So grab your lunch, sit back, and get ready for an extra dose of professional nourishment. And I cannot say how excited I am for today's show. I have 3 guests, which is a first for me, so it'll be interesting to see how I can juggle all of this. But the content that we're about to share will literally change North Central Washington in so many ways. So it's my pleasure to introduce Wendy Bresney, Director of Clinical Integration with Thriving Together North Central Washington, Yuritsi Lozano, Dean for Allied Health and Professional Technical Programs at Wenatchee Valley College, and Deneen Berry-Guerin, Dean of Workforce Education at Big Bend Community College. Welcome in, ladies.
Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you.
All right. So usually I do a quick intro here for my guests, but since we have 3 and we've got a lot of subject matter to cover, collectively we've decided we're going to ask a quick little question just to kind of break the ice. So I'm a huge foodie, huge fan. I want to know, what is your favorite ice cream flavor?
I'll go first. It's chocolate. And I prefer Bluebell ice cream, which is only from Brenham, Texas. They're a little bit, but they don't have it up here in Washington State, so I have to do a Haagen-Dazs.
Okay. All right. That's good. Yuritsi, do you want to go next?
Yeah, mine is mint chocolate chip.
Any specific brand?
No, I love all ice cream, mint chocolate chip.
Right on. All right, Deneen, what do you got?
Anything chocolate. I'm sorry, I can't get behind the mint chocolate chip, but yeah, anything chocolate. And a rule in my house is ice cream does not come in a block. It is always in a round container.
Oh, interesting. Why is that?
Because good ice cream comes in a round container, not a block.
Oh my gosh, I love this. That's terrific. And I think I actually think I might agree with you. So my favorite used to be as a kid, all-time favorite was chocolate chip from Baskin and Robbins. But now in my older age, I'm really loving the fun stuff that like Salt and Straw does and things like that. But if you go and buy those, Umpqua, Salt and Straw, they're all in round containers. Denise, that's brilliant.
Yes. And it's round paper, not round plastic.
Yeah. All right. I am totally on board with this. I love it. All right. This is good. You know what? And I always say little things like this, but we probably could do an entire podcast just on ice cream. But literally, this one is good today. This is great. So, ladies, I'm going to ask you, are you ready to do this?
Let's do it.
Yep.
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. So I want to start out with you, Wendy, and because I think, you know, we've kind of discussed in the background a little bit about you helping bring this to the table. So this session is all about program builder grants, and everybody can be a program builder grant. So what program is this program builder grant going to make possible?
The program that we're seeking to build is the Bachelor of Applied Science in Behavioral Health at both Wenatchee Valley College and Big Bend.
Okay, excellent. All right. So I did a little homework and I was, playing around on your website, and I saw that the mission is to advance health and well-being in North Central Washington by unifying partners, supporting collaboration, and enabling systems change. So I'm cheating. I'm reading off of my notes behind because I wanted to make sure that I got that right, because that is exactly what you did here on this program builder grant for Wenatchee Valley and Big Bend. So what was the genesis for that?
Well, as we all know, with COVID, there was an increase in mental health issues across the nation. And it really shone the light on workforce, especially in our region being so rural, and across the nation, of course, and how it was not able to meet the needs of our residents. And I continue to work with Dr. Rickard. She's a local psychologist and leads the Central Washington Suicide Prevention Coalition. And she and I were talking, and she said, how can we create a behavioral health career ladder in our region so we can just grow our own. And that just means, like, how do we train or educate our own residents who currently live here, who are coming up through the high schools, the different school districts, versus bringing individuals who are already educated in behavioral health into our region. And then we have a whole nother set of issues that we have to work with. And that just was thinking of what could we do? So that was kind of like the brainstorming of it all began.
Yeah, it's excellent. I love that these conversations were happening. I've shared in the past, and it's been part of the programming for career connected learning, especially during and since, COVID, mental health. The students were asking for it in their schools with guest speakers. And so I just love that these conversations are happening. So now, before we move on and I, really kind of dive into what's happening with Wenatchee Valley and Big Bend, Thriving Together is pretty amazing. And I'm actually surprised I've not interviewed you before for the MVP, which is Most Valuable Partner. So is there anything else you want to tell us about Thriving Together before we, move into the rest of the content?
Yeah. Thriving Together is just a nonprofit in our region. We serve Chelan, Douglas, Grant, and Okanagan County. And as our mission states, we're really about improving the health and well-being. And we're doing that through the framework of vital conditions, so that as we improve the conditions that are needed, the property, the places, the ideas that individuals need to flourish and thrive in their life, that's what we need to continue to work on. And we do that by convening our partners and looking at ways we can change the systems. If we continue doing the things that the way we've always done it, we're going to continue to get the same results. And we need to start thinking outside the box and how we can do things differently and how we can work together differently. We work so much in silos. We need to start collaborating outside. We need to pick our chin up, look at what others are doing, and start collaborating with each other.
That's beautiful. Well, and like I said, exactly what you've done here. So let's dive into this. So, for both Yuritsi and Deneen, for both of you, I want to say, like, and really get your answer on what specifically do you see this Program Builder Grant allowing your two colleges to do?
Yeah, absolutely. This was a pretty innovative opportunity for us to collaborate in a really unique way. I think Wendy and this grant really will allow us to build out a consortium. Up until now, there hasn't been a huge precedent for many colleges to do bachelor's consortiums. I know there's a few in the state, and so this will allow us to serve a greater amount of students between our different service districts, but also to help kickstart and build our programs. It takes a lot to build a bachelor's of applied science at a community college, and a lot of resources. And so combining those efforts will help build a solid foundation for both of our colleges and programs to collaborate, but then in the future, potentially expand and break off into two separate programs, depending on the need.
Yeah. I would also say that this grant provides the opportunity for us to actually build the curriculum and develop the program prior to offering it. Oftentimes we are, as we all do regularly, we are building as we fly. And this grant actually provides us the resources that we need so that we can actually build it, or a good portion of it, before we start flying it. So, yeah.
Very good. So are you going to do all of the work yourselves, or are you looking for help? Is somebody else going to come in and help you out with this?
It's a very collaborative effort. I think with the leadership of Deneen and I, and even Wendy, we're pulling in multiple partners. So faculty, clinical facilities and partners, potential advisory board members or advisory committee members, to help support and get the program started, obviously recruitment efforts. But between our two colleges, we have staff identified and faculty who will really work to build out the curriculum and how the program is structured, admissions process, et cetera.
We're actually in the program. We're actually in the program development process right now. So in February, if I have my dates right, we submitted a statement of need to the state board for career and technical colleges, stating that this was a needed program. And so we have done that. And then in July, we will submit our program proposal. And so that is where we are right now, is submitting that and then hopefully have that state board approval in the fall.
Okay, great. And so will you be hiring any new staff to assist?
Go
Yes,
ahead, Bbcc.
so through the funding, through the Program Builder Grant, we were actually able to secure funding to hire a full-time faculty member who will help collaborate and build the program. So the intention again is they'll be on a whole year before the program start. Our intended goal is to launch fall of 2025. So they'll be developing the coursework and curriculum. We are finalizing the job description now and hope to post in the next few weeks. So that will be posted, and that's a full-time instructor to be kind of the lead of the BAS program between the both campuses.
Very good. So what is if say I'm qualified and this sparks an interest and I'm thinking I might want to apply for that position. What's that one thing that I should have if I'm interested in applying for that job?
For sure, licensed mental health provider and with clinical experience, because they'll be monitoring and connecting with clinical coordination. So they have to have that experience. I think we've identified 3 to 4 years background experience, masters in social work, psychology, or mental health in some form. And so really being intentional, thinking about somebody who has worked with the diverse communities, given our large demographic and who we serve as well.
And that
Great.
clinical experience is very important because that actually is a requirement for this type of program. And this program it has a lot of work-based learning opportunities, hence Career Connect Washington. But yes, so that clinical experience is key to this position.
Okay, good to know. All right. And it definitely will not be me, but just in case somebody who's listening is interested, I want to make sure I get that out there. So, standing where I'm standing and learning what I've learned about this as we prepared for today, I'm thinking this isn't really, I've never really heard about 2 institutions partnering up like this. What made that possible? And does this happen more than I know or than our viewers might know?
It's not super common. It's not the first time, but it definitely isn't a very common thing. And this really happened because with the 2 programs working together, we're able to develop a program together, shared resources, and we also are able to ensure that it continues. So one of the things that, especially in these small rural areas, enrollment can be an issue, especially at the beginning when a program is just starting. So by having a shared program, we are pulling enrollment, we're pulling students from both districts and ensuring that it continues, because this program really is supporting our community. So we're pulling students from our own communities to learn in their own community and then turn around and work and support their own communities. So it's key in ours, and being so rural in Central Washington. I think this is a great opportunity for both of us. And one of the great things is, again, shared resources and students, but students can be in Wenatchee and maybe it's a Big Bend class, but they can stay in Wenatchee and they'll be taking a class from Big Bend that meets the requirements, and vice versa. Big Bend student would stay here in this area, but they might be taking a Wenatchee class to complete that requirement for the program. So, and everybody gets to stay in their community, which, is key to serving our communities as well. So,
and I'll just say that this opens it up for our entire region. So we're even talking about Okanagan County. So all the Canadian border in our area. So it really is a large geographic region that we're covering, and we're talking rural and frontier areas and opening opportunities for individual students who haven't necessarily had these opportunities.
Yeah, this is brilliant. We talk a lot in Career Connected Learning about, meeting the students where they're at, and then, letting them know that, hey, these local careers and these local opportunities exist. And this is a bullseye in my opinion. Especially when we think about the NCSD and the territory that we all cover, from the Oregon border basically to the Canadian border. So the fact that Okanagan students Chelan, Douglas County, Grant County, et cetera, are all going to be able to come in and participate in this is just incredible. It is, I think from the data that we see, a lot of our students do like to stay where they're at. This is a great place to live. North Central Washington has a lot to offer. So I love that. It's for sure, meeting the needs of our community and meeting them where they're at. So bravo to all of you. There's so much more I want to get into here. So let's talk some specifics about the actual, program. So there's a need for professionals in behavioral health, throughout and across. It's very broad. So are there specific careers in this program that are going to be focused, or is it just across the board, all of them?
So this program will help support behavioral health support specialists. The legislation passed this last February, not this February, supporting that effort to help expand. We really see that individuals who potentially graduate from this program will be seen as those who can triage some initial crises and also do some prevention efforts so that it can then lead to getting some more stabilized mental health support from a licensed counselor or therapist. So really those kind of entry-level behavioral support, we see programs developing and careers developing in K through 12. We see it in criminal justice, obviously the healthcare sector as well. And so it's actually going to be very interdisciplinary as this need is arising across all types of jobs. Individuals who complete this program will really be able to kind of have that niche experience in all of those sectors.
Excellent.
It's also going to really support the behavioral health integration that the state is really looking for into primary care. As many of us go to primary care, we don't necessarily need a behavioral health agency, the very intensive services that an agency may provide, but we go to our primary care and we may need something in the moment. So really supporting, embedding the mental health professionals as a behavioral health support specialist into primary care is crucial. And I'd give a shout out to Bill O'Connell from UW, who led this effort in getting the curriculum objectives created, and then Senators Trudeau, Wagner, Conway, Dingra, and Wilson, who championed this in the legislation, as Yuritsi said, in the 2023 session, and it passed. And so we're really grateful for that because it's really going to help us increase our workforce here in the rural region.
Yeah, that's terrific. And I know from reading through the application that the statistics really do show that North Central Washington is really in need. And so, Deneen, I wanted to talk a little bit, specifically about that. What is some of that data that, was highlighting the urgent need for more mental health professionals here, in the North Central Washington region?
Well, I know that when we did this, so both Wenatchee Valley and Big Bend, we did interviews and focus groups and that kind of thing to learn what the need was, and it was a huge need in Central Washington or Central Washington. While we were doing research, it was while we know that the need is widespread and everything, I personally was really surprised by the some of the data that we learned, and I'm going to read it because I don't have it all memorized, but according to the National Institute of Health, and this was in 22, I believe, 1 in 5 adults lives with a diagnosable mental health condition or addiction, and 1.2 million of those are Washingtonians. The state of Washington is ranked 32nd in access to mental care and 38th for youth. Wow. That's out of 50. So, that's not great. And the biggest reason for that is the long waits for care, insufficient and outdated facilities, and a workforce shortage. And, there's urgent needs everywhere, and we're hoping to meet some of that. And with this, like Yuritsi said, as well as Wendy, it's not necessarily, it's the lower level, so that cases don't have to be escalated. So it can be addressed early or at a lower level. So by getting more of the professionals into all of those locations really should provide a lot more access to that care.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, on a personal level, just with some of the experience, here with Career Connected Learning, we've seen it and we've heard it. The students were asking for more behavioral health information during COVID as we did the guest speaker series. They would fill out a form, after every guest speaker. And the number one requested guest speaker profession was mental health. They just couldn't get enough. So I think that, when they're asking us, we should be listening. You all are obviously listening and making this happen. That's why I'm so excited about this program. So, okay, so long-term impact. Do you anticipate, or what is the long-term impact that you anticipate this having on North Central Washington? Because as I'm hearing it, the program, you've got this program builder grant, you're building the program out. The actual schooling should start in 2025. So what do you see after that? So 2025, you get your first cohort of students. What's next?
Oh, who's going? Go ahead, Gracie.
Well, I think the long-term impact is, one, building career pathways for people here locally and living wage jobs. When we did survey recent alumni or students in our current existing programs, there was a high percentage of students who were excited about the possibility of staying local. We have alumni who are interested in coming back, and because they're place bound, they have not been able to go and access a bachelor's degree. And so this is going to create huge educational attainment. It will potentially reduce timeframes on mental health access in various sectors, as I mentioned earlier. Through this program builder, we're also exploring the possibility of partnering and creating a pathway into a master's program, which is possible, so that if an individual wants to become a fully licensed mental health provider, they can do that. And we're creating that pathway locally and within our state. And I think that is such a critical piece, and especially when we're thinking about who we serve, our populations in North Central Washington, being rural. This is a huge game changer for all our constituents in our areas.
Excellent. So who can enroll in this class?
So it is considered a 2+2 program. So what that means is that students have to have completed a 2-year associate's degree. There'll be some specific program requirements, and we're still working and sifting those out. That's part of the program development. And students will be able to then apply to be considered for the Bachelor's of Applied Science. Some of the feeder programs we've initially identified are chemical dependency or substance use disorder, early childhood education, criminal justice, an Associate of Arts and Science pathway with a focus in psychology. There'll be a combination of courses that would be required, right? General psychology, intro to substance use, intro to behavioral health, some of those courses that we'll be developing together. And then they'll be able to apply and enroll into the 2-year behavioral health program, which is kind of the upper level, like their junior, senior years of a 4-year program.
Yeah. Okay.
Those
So if
would
I'm
be
a student, go ahead. No, go ahead, Deneen. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that the same programs at Big Bend. We don't have a chemical dependency program, but the early childhood, the criminal justice, and then the arts and sciences with a psychology focus. With that said, if you don't have that, so if you're a student who has already graduated and an alum or whatever, but you're interested in that, through this program proposal or program development, we'll be identifying what those classes are that students can take, so that then they can be, successful candidates into the bachelor's program. So
perfect. So oftentimes a lot of our viewers are teachers, educators, and so say I'm thinking in terms of not only from the educator, but from the student. Say I'm a junior at Tonasket High School, and I've got an interest in this. I could then, or maybe I'll ask it a different way. I'll be reaching out to one of the 2 colleges to say, hey, I'm interested in this program. I'll be graduating in 2025. I want to be in that first cohort. Where do I apply? Can I do my AA and then stay at that same, school, whether it's Wenatchee or Big Bend, to complete this program? And how do I go about doing that? If I'm a student, can you kind of lead me in that right direction?
Well, that will be part of what our program development is defining is what that looks like. As far as somebody who is living in Wenatchee Valley's district or in Big Bend's, yes, a student could stay where they are and they could continue through both their AA and then on to the bachelor's program. As far as the application process and or where to go to do that, the keeping in contact or watching the websites on both campuses would be important. And then, shows like this perhaps would be identifying or, social media, that kind of thing. I would just, and constantly be in contact with, looking at the school's websites, because we will definitely be promoting this and promoting it within the school districts. There's always a possibility. I know that in our early childhood and criminal justice programs, we have dual credit options available for students, for high school students. So they could actually start on those classes in high school. And so they got a head start on their AA and then into the BAS. So they might be further than they thought they were.
Yeah. That's beautiful. And I mean, I'm thinking about this again in the terms of a student and the educators. We distribute this out to be viewed right after the recording's over. And I want to make sure that all of our educators have it so that the students know that this is coming down the pike. They can come to our college and career fairs in the fall.
Absolutely.
We have them at both institutions host those events for us. And so that's really the whole idea of career connected learning, right? To make those connections and make sure that the students know what's available to them. I'm so excited about this program. So I knew this was going to happen. We're down to like 3 minutes. So I have one more question. And really what it is just that notion that this isn't necessarily a common thing for two institutions to come together and offer a program like this. And I know it's serving the needs for both of your institutions, as well as our community. But what might that mean in the future, as we kind of evolve into the educational needs of this region? Could this open the door for more partnering, more collaboration?
Absolutely. With this program specifically, we really see that we will both probably end up growing because of the need, and individually have our own programs. But Euritzi and I have already collaborated on other programs or the potential for other programs, and I can't imagine that wouldn't continue. I don't know what that looks like or what those programs are, but I can't imagine that we wouldn't continue to do that. It serves our students and our institutions, because we can offer things that potentially we wouldn't have been able to on our own.
That's terrific. I love that. So my last question is really going to be this. Is there anything, which I'm chuckling because I know there's so much more, but is there anything that we didn't cover that you'd like to cover very quickly? Any final comments or anything?
I just want to, for me, and I know Euritzi as well, honestly, this grant, this opportunity working with Thriving Together is providing the resources and it just making something that would have been even more difficult, way less difficult for us. And we're able to build it before we start, which is, that makes everybody's lives a little bit easier. So, and it's great for our communities.
I totally agree. And I think it's actually opening the door for us to think about how we might develop future programs in the future with other industry partners. Community colleges, we sometimes are underfunded, under-resourced. And so things like this really allow us to move forward and be those innovators in our communities that is needed for, living wage employment.
And honestly, work-based learning is key in workforce. And this grant really highlights that. This program really highlights the need for that, so that students are actually getting that real life experience, that work experience while they're learning.
And I would just want to sum it up and say thank you, Career Connect Washington Employment Security, for making this possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very good. Well, in this career connected learning work, we've had this little hashtag. It's all about the kids, and this, you were speaking to it earlier, Deneen. This helps our students out. We do know from the data that they want to stay in this area. In general, most of our students who are going away to a 2-year school aren't necessarily going away locally. They're staying at Wenatchee or they're staying at Big Bend. So this is just serendipitous and beautiful and a whole lot of hard work. I get that. So I want to say thank you to all of you for doing what you're doing and making this possible for our communities and for our students. I want to thank you for being our most valuable partners today on MVP. And I wish we could keep going. I think I do say this now every single podcast. I wish we could keep going. It could be longer, but that's going to do it for us today. So for anyone out there who has interest in this program and learning more about it, or maybe you've got something to add, something you want to bring to the table and offer up, you can reach out to Wendy at Thriving Together North Central Washington. Yuritsi is at Wenatchee Valley College, and Deneen is at Big Bend Community College. I can also make the connection, Carrie, with Career Connected Learning and the NCESD. But thank you, ladies, very much. Keep up the good work. And I think we need to have an ice cream social to celebrate very soon.
Sounds good. Thank you,
All right.
Carrie.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.